let's talk about periods and when they return and what that looks like and why.
Yes.
And then also there's things beyond nutrition that women could do to kind of help with their libido and just some tips to consider.
Okay.
So when you'll probably noticed even when your period, what did your period look like when it returned after your kids?
It was awesome because it was like 3 months after I stopped breastfeeding. So I had like a long time without periods, which is so great.
Yeah.
Humble brag, but I was like, yes. So I remember, and still to this day, I'm like, why is it heavier than it ever used to be? It lasts longer than it ever used to. And I never had painful periods. And now, like, I get cramping, which is, it's nothing that I can't help with fennel tea. Fennel tea really helps me. So it's very mild, but I never used to have that.
Right.
And I have my clients too. They're like, hey, do you know why this is happening? I'm like, no, but I'm going to ask the expert.
Yeah. So there's many physiological changes that happen to us through pregnancy and postpartum. So sometimes those physiological changes can be very permanent. But you want to look at what hormonal shifts happen to you postpartum and what could still be maybe going on for you. So immediately once our periods return, we do tend to have a few months of really heavy cycles, lots of clotting. They could be all over the place. Like I know with me, one's like 40 days and then it's 29 days and then it's, you know, and they are very heavy for me as well right now. And I'm just like, holy moly. So my period just returned about 5 months ago. And now I'm finally starting to see them begin to get lighter and more regular. And so we actually see a lot of women even go anemic once their periods return because it's just so heavy. And that's because your hormones are starting to regulate out. They're trying, but you probably have this sort of imbalance of estrogen to progesterone where the estrogen is a little bit more dominant. Okay. And the estrogen causes that higher pain during your menstrual cycles, more cramping. It causes more like for them to be longer usually or heavier. So we do tend to see this picture, and we also tend to see more PMS. And when progesterone is deficient, cycles can be a little bit more irregular. So until that estrogen and that progesterone balances out, which usually takes about 3 months to happen because the cycle of your egg to mature is about 90 days. Then it should start to kind of balance out. If it's not, that's where you need to go looking at, okay, well, is there still maybe an underlying hormonal thing going on here? And could that hormonal thing be caused by the adrenals? Could it be caused by thyroid? So we know that when we're under stress, we usually have a more wicked period, right? I don't know if you realize that, like if you go through a period of stress,
I haven't put 2 and 2 together, but I notice other things. I notice other things in my body that like I have rosacea. So I notice when I'm really stressed, that's when I have flare-ups.
So inflammation goes up, right? Yeah. So for you, there might be this inflammatory response that changes and shifts your cycle as well. So everybody's so individual, but the cramping is probably a little bit more of that estrogen. Now, if the cramping is settled with fennel tea, you're probably okay. But if women are reaching to Advil or even needing heating pads because their cycles are like that painful, that's not normal. Okay. Right. And that's something that you should definitely look into regulating and figuring out what's going on. Right. So you have, and even pelvic floor, right? You know, like menstrual cycles could be more heavy, more painful with pelvic floor issues. And obviously after having babies, women need to work on their pelvic floor. Yes. Right. Yes. So I know for me, like that's probably even a factor for me because I was doing the work, but then I stopped doing the work on my pelvic floor. And I'm really starting to feel that now with my cycles. Okay. I'm starting to feel more of that like rectal pain with cycles, which immediately after I delivered, I had a little bit of a rectal prolapse. Okay. And now that my periods returned, I'm feeling that there's something there with my pelvic floor because I'm feeling that rectal pain too. Got you. So I know I have to get back into it. So there's these signs to watch for, but it can be very normal for your period to look like, you know, a death scene or like just be really painful or really irregular those first few months. And it's really unfortunate. I just had a patient recently who came in and she said, well, I'm 2 months, you know, into my period coming back after having a baby. And I just went on the pill. My doctor put me on the pill because they're just so heavy. And I was like, wait a second. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's normal for your periods to be like this right now. Wait another month,
Right.
wait another 2 months, see what shifts, right? And so
Yeah.
it's unfortunate because likely her cycle would have just regulated out.
Right.
What are
Yeah.
you gonna do though?
Okay, so note to self, I need to book an appointment for you with you to check out what's going on because, right? Like,
Yeah, and likely it's just something little, Denise, that you just got
yeah,
to tweak, and you're like, oh, that was it,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but you'll get there.
Awesome.
The libido can come back.
You
It's not.
can come back.
It can return. So it's just, finding out where those imbalances are and
We're not
tweaking it.
we're not in libido jail forever.
No, although it feels
Awesome.
that way sometimes.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much for all these tips. This was so great. I know that moms will be rewinding and watching over and over because there's so many tidbits here and there. So Jess, I know you have a lot of stuff on your social media. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, so the best place to find me is probably through my Instagram. So I'm sure you'll put the link there, but it's Dr. Jessica DuPont, very easy, Dr. Jessica DuPont, and you'll find me there. That's where I post the most. You can absolutely go to my website, drjessicand.com if you're looking to book an appointment. But Instagram is probably where you're going to find me the most. I have a few upcoming programs, one of them specifically focused on postpartum. I can't give out too much information, but this is a really excited one I'm really excited for because there is no program out there for postpartum moms that address everything from nutrition, regulating hormones, how to navigate breastfeeding and weaning, how to navigate hair loss, and libido.
That's a good
whole
one.
other topic we can do.
Yes, it is.
But how to, cortisol and all this stuff, because like I said, or like even you said earlier, women, their doctor's appointments stop at 6 weeks postpartum. And that's it. It's like, okay, well, good luck now, have fun. Right. And then you're just left to be like, oh, okay. And so really, like, we need to change that. And women should be getting testing at certain times throughout their postpartum period. So this program is going to talk about that, what to get tested, how to interpret those results, what to eat and how to eat, how to regulate your hormones, how to navigate things, what's normal, what's not normal. And so it's really going to take that all encompassing, and even it's going to address pelvic floor and all this stuff. And so this is going to be launched in the fall, and it's strictly online, so women can do it at their own pace. And so it's just going to give women that information that they're looking for, because Dr. Google, as we know, can cause a lot of stress. It can cause a lot of overwhelm.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what supplements do I do? At what dose? Like, is this good for me? Is this not good for me? I don't know. And it's like, you're too much on your plate already as a postpartum mom. It needs to be easy, laid out. Okay, this is my plan for me.
Right.
Because babies have all these doctor's appointments, but what about you?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So I'm really, really excited about this one, and I'll let you know as soon as that's launched, but it'll be
and I'll definitely put the link down below when that's out. But everybody, you can reach Dr. Jess. I'll have all her details in the description box below where you can reach her. So thanks so much, Jess, for coming here and being our expert guest. We learned a lot. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you so much for having me. This was amazing. Keep doing what you're doing. Your vibrant, beautiful self. And keep empowering women. It's amazing.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.